Welcome to This Explainer. So think about the last time you casually hit repost on social media. I mean, we all do it, right? Now, imagine facing actual prison time for it. That's exactly what we're looking at today. We're hooking right into the fascinating case of Dr. Chen Jingyuan, a man who was forced to defend his very freedom against criminal charges literally just for hitting repost. It's a wild story, and it forces us to ask some seriously deep questions about the law, digital expression, and where exactly the boundary is between a harmless post and a crime.
Okay, here's our roadmap for this legal deconstruction. We're going to look at the case of Dr. Chen, define what a fake post actually is, examine the burden of verification, look at how we measure severe public disorder, and finally ask who actually has to prove all of this. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. The case of Dr. Chen. A man, a repost, and a criminal charge.
So the specific charge here was picking quarrels and provoking trouble by spreading fake information. Sounds straightforward, right? Well, local authorities did something pretty unusual to build their case. They literally swept up years of Dr. Chen's scattered, non-original reposts, stuff he didn't even write himself, and bundled the whole shebang into one giant criminal behavior. Instead of looking at each post individually to see if it broke a law, they just treated his entire digital history as one big homogeneous rumor charge.
Now, if we look at the AI legal analysis of this, they immediately flag this packaging as a massive structural flaw. They call it a category mistake. By mixing totally different types of human expression, from, political satire to just venting emotions, into a single bucket labeled rumors, the prosecution made a huge error. I mean, you absolutely cannot evaluate a piece of art using the exact same legal standard as a breaking news report. It just doesn't work that way. Moving on to Section 2, defining a fake post, the philosophical and legal boundaries. Because honestly, before you can punish someone for spreading a fake fact, you have to nail down what a fake post even is legally. According to statutory guidelines, a statement has to be an objective fact capable of being proven true or false. Lawyers call this falsifiability. Basically, if you can't test a statement with hard evidence to prove it's objectively false, you cannot legally classify it as a rumor. And this brings us to a brilliant part of Dr. Chen's defense. Look at how he categorized his reposts. He broke them into 4 groups: art and comics, personal emotion, rational opinion or theory, and objective reality. Now, think about it. 3 of those 4 categories are legally incapable of being true or false. You literally cannot fact-check a satirical cartoon or a feeling of sadness. So legally speaking, they can't be rumors. Only that 4th category, objective reality, can even be tested for truthfulness. The legal analyses we reviewed totally praised this meticulous breakdown. They pointed out that treating a cartoon or a theoretical opinion as a falsifiable fact is a foundational legal error. Because if a justice system starts penalizing art and emotion as fake facts, that is a massive red flag. It crosses a dangerous line from regulating public order into penalizing basic human expression itself.
All right, Section 3, the burden of verification, mens rea and the guilty mind.
Let's look at the subjective intent you need to actually commit a crime. It's not enough to just share something false. The law requires that you knew it was false and shared it anyway. The prosecution tried to argue that because Dr. Chen is highly educated, he, quote, should have known the posts were fake. But legal reality completely disagrees. Regular citizens are not professional fact-checkers. There's absolutely no law saying you need a journalism degree and a magnifying glass every time you tap the repost button. The analyses highlight a really dangerous legal fallacy happening here, called objective imputation. Basically, that means presuming someone is guilty just because of who they are, like their education level, instead of showing hard evidence of what they actually knew at the time. Presuming Dr. Chen knowingly spread false information without direct proof completely violates the core legal principle that a guilty mind has to be proven, not just guessed at. Section 4. Measuring severe public disorder. The impact requirement. So spreading a rumor alone isn't enough to get a criminal conviction under the statute. The law dictates that it must directly cause real-world chaos. We're talking riots, widespread mass panic, paralyzed public services, stuff like that. But here's the kicker. When asked for the evidence of this chaos, there was literally none. 0 metrics of mass panic, no paralyzed infrastructure, nothing. Just a handful of low-follower reposts. And get this. Dr. Chen pointed out something incredible. The posts in question They are literally still online today. They were never officially taken down or formally debunked by the authorities. Seriously, if these posts were truly causing mass chaos and panic, why on earth would authorities just leave them up for anyone on the internet to see? It makes absolutely no sense. Which brings us to Section 5. Who must prove it? The burden of proof in criminal law. This is the climax of the whole legal breakdown. When the state accuses you of a crime, it's their job to bring the receipts. In criminal law, the prosecution has to definitively establish 3 things. Step 1, the information is objectively false. Step 2, the defendant knowingly spread it. And Step 3, it directly caused severe public disorder. The state has to prove all of this beyond a reasonable doubt. They cannot force the defendant to prove his own innocence or prove that his posts were true. The overwhelming consensus across all the legal analyses we reviewed is that the prosecution here tried to totally invert the justice system. By expecting a citizen to guarantee the absolute truth of their online activity, they shifted the burden of proof. That fundamentally violates the absolute bedrock of criminal law, the presumption of innocence. So, I'm going to leave you with this final provocative thought to consider. It's really about that delicate balance between free expression, public order, and the heavy machinery of criminal law. If citizens are legally forced to guarantee the absolute objective truth of every single post they share under the literal threat of prison, where does the boundary of human expression end, and where does a total chilling effect on our digital lives begin? Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer, and remember to keep questioning the structures of the information around you.